Greetings and salutations. This is Akirishin. In this video, I will be featuring the Yakovlev Yak-1M Russian fighter. This fighter has a 20mm cannon as well as two 12.7mm machine guns. I've gone with my standard fighter setup, which includes Control Surface Adjustment 2. That increases maneuverability in turns by 3%, as well as Lightweight Airframe 2, which likewise increases maneuverability in all axes by 3%. Of course, the plane already has very high maneuverability in horizontal turns, but my philosophy is that you cannot get enough maneuverability in the turns. Oftentimes you're going to run into Japanese fighters, British Spitfires, and if you get into a turning dogfight with them, you need every maneuverability advantage that you can give yourself. I do not like to be outturned by other fighters. The stats for this aircraft indicate that it has good airspeed and boost. Now, from my point of view, a good boost is somewhere in the range of 10 plus seconds. The boost on this particular aircraft is 6 seconds. So that's meh. It's okay, but it's not stellar by any means. And oftentimes in combat, I am relying heavily upon extended flaps and air brakes to get better turning and to stay behind my target or to get my target to fly past me. And when it comes time to increase airspeed, it's good to be able to get that engine cooled down and to get the boost back up to full strength as soon as possible. So I have gone with improved radiator, which is 30% to engine cooling speed when the engine is idle. Ammunition wise, for the cannon, I have gone with the high explosive due to the fact that the high explosive is going to has a much higher chance for to crit, and that is, of course, in my book, the whole goal of the cannons is to get that big critical hit. On the other hand, for the machine gun, I've gone with the high explosive incendiary. Given the high rate of fire of the machine guns, I want to get a fire on that target so that if I have to break off from the target, or maybe it outmaneuvers me, I know that it's still taking damage because I've put a fire on it. So I think that's a good combination, is to have the high crit chance on the cannon and the chance to start fires with the machine gun. This aircraft is prone to catching fire, so I did go with the automatic fire extinguisher, which I usually do on fighters anyway. In the second slot, I'm always debating between the engine restart skill versus the first aid kit. If you're in a dogfight at low altitude and your engine goes out, that could mean a crash, because you may not get that engine restarted in time to avoid smashing into the ground. But on this particular aircraft, I have gone with the first aid kit because there's nothing more annoying than you're in a fight, you're about to take down the enemy target and you take some damage and your pilot gets injured, and all of a sudden that nice tight reticle expands and you just can't hit the broadside of a barn. So you want to get that pilot back up to full health as soon as possible so you can start putting rounds on the target again and hopefully finish that target off. So I did go with the first aid kit in this particular build, but it is very debatable, and I don't think necessarily there is a right answer to that. Either one is good. And of course, I did go with the heavy duty control surfaces, again going for that extra maneuverability. Pilot wise, I only have one skill on this pilot, so I did go with the fire damage and duration reduction skill, given that this plane is prone to catching fire. But once I get a second skill point, I will switch to the aerobatics expert, and then after that, as soon as possible, the aerodynamics expert. Again, just getting as much maneuverability for this aircraft as possible. There are kind of two ways to be defensive with an aircraft. One is to increase its survivability with armor plating, things of that sort. But my way of being defensive, especially with fighters, is to focus more on avoiding being hit. So if I can have that high maneuverability, I'm counting on being hit less. Specifications wise, optimal airspeed is around 300 kilometers per hour. As you can see, this is not a high altitude aircraft. 1,000 meters is its optimal altitude. You're not going to be chasing the zoom and boomers up to high altitudes with this aircraft. So anyway, let's get into a battle here and see how we do. Okay, so we have Alpine Gambit, and we've got the garrison, the command center, which is where we'll go first. I stay away from the mining plant because, as you can read at the bottom, it is not protected by air defense aircraft, so I'm not really going to be able to do a lot there unless there are enemy fighters there, and maybe some of our ground pounders need protection. So I'm going to focus on the command center and the garrison and then maybe a airstrip ultimately over here. And of course I'm closest to the command center anyway.
Get ready for action. Let's go.
In this first engagement at the command center, I'm looking to try to get at least 3 kills. If I can get 3 kills out of that first engagement, I'm a pretty happy camper. I'm going to start turning even before the other aircraft passes, so that I can get on that turning aircraft as soon as possible after it goes by. We usually don't have long over these targets because we take these bases pretty quickly. So I'm going to use boost as much as possible so I can get on those targets. This target's kind of far away, so there we go. Alright, so I got 2 kills out of that. I'm okay with that. Would have rather had 3, but 2 will do. Looks like we've done a pretty good job so far of securing assets. So I'm going to start looking for enemy aircraft to engage. Don't know that I'm going to be able to catch up to this fellow. So we'll let him go. So I know there's an enemy aircraft over here at the plant. So I'm going to start heading this way and see if I can't stop them from capping. So if we can delay their cap, that can help us with the point advantage. I'll take this higher aircraft on first. Really do not want them surprising me. I see a lot of people just sit on the trigger, get their guns way overheated. You're much better off just to do shorter burst and keep the rate of fire up. And I'm going to start flipping over here even before that aircraft has passed. You've got to be very careful with these fellows because they will drop bombs. If you get caught with those, by one of those bombs, it will mess your day up. They know that, so they will drop those bombs, anticipating you to fly right into them. So don't get caught with that. Alright, we've got a ground pounder here. Let's see if we can do a little damage to this fellow. And he's gone. Oh, maybe he's coming. Is he coming back? Nope. So I'm putting the air brakes on there so I can flip around as quickly as possible. You're always going to turn better slowly than you will going too fast. They must really want this plant. So here they come again. And they're bringing friends this time. So we're going to go to head here. Now I'm going to go ahead and start diving and turning around. He's going to fly right by me. This fellow was smart enough though to go ahead and change directions. That was a good move on his part, but I don't think it's going to save him. So there again, I'm turning before he even gets to me. So that I'm right on him when he gets around there. Now we're going to deal with this guy. Cannot let these ground pounders just have their way, because they will take that sector very quickly if you do. So there's a good example. You don't want to be too close to that fellow. He drops that bomb. He got us with this rear machine gun.
Way to go! Victory is close.
So we're going to help our airfield over here.
Victory is ours. We're waiting for your return.
Alright, That's it. That went well. Let's see what we have here. Flying start. Hat trick, so we got one of everything. 5,000 combat points. 75 capture points, and of course we were rank 1. And our fighter result there. So it was a very successful mission. Not very long lasting, but we got the job done quickly. And we've got 6 kills. And that was just in 6 minutes worth of battle. So basically we got a kill a minute. Not bad. Let's see how our counterpart did. 9 kills there by the Focke-Wulf 190D. That's a good result for him. Anyway, that is the Yak-1M. Good airplane. Fantastic maneuverability, especially as we have enhanced it. Hope you enjoyed this video.